How do I fix your connection is not private? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for AskLeo.com. If you're not getting Confident Computing in your email inbox every Tuesday, you're missing out. Each week I publish new answers, tips and tricks and more. Visit AskLeo.com/newsletter so you don't miss an issue. So let's get right to the question here. Quote, I have a laptop that consistently has a problem when it accesses a site online. Each and every time I get the same message from the site I'm visiting. The message is strange and I have no knowledge of how to correct the implied problem. The message is, your connection is not private. Attackers might be trying to steal your information from the site. For example, passwords, messages, or credit cards. This message appears when I try to access my email account. The message you're seeing actually is very, very common. And what it is a sign that the HTTPS protocol, that secure protocol we keep talking about, is working. What HTTPS has determined is that there's something wrong. Now, HTTPS is a way of confirming that you are actually connecting to the site you think you are. Consider it kind of like a driver's license. A driver's license has three components. A process you have to go through to get it. It's an ID, it's something that confirms you are who you say you are. And of course, there's implied functionality. Possession of a driver's license means that you have been granted the privilege of driving. An HTTPS certificate is kind of sort of the same. It has three components that are very similar. The process you have to go through to get one, which includes confirming you are who you say you are. It is then used as an ID, confirming that the site you are putting up is in fact you, and it has functionality. An HTTPS certificate is used to encrypt the data that travels between the website and the visitors browsing it. Now, of course, there are errors that happen. For example, and let's quickly have a look at the machine here. I will use the example that I'm using in the article here. https://askleomedia.com. This is a site of mine, and it has no HTTPS certificate, or it has the wrong one. And I get that error. This is a great way so you can see the same error yourself. There are several possibilities that can lead to this kind of an error. If we take a look right away at the error message that we're looking at right now, you'll see something that says net : error cert date invalid. This is probably the most common reason you might find this error, and it is nothing more than the website owner not having renewed his certificate. They have an expiration date, and chances are this website didn't renew his certificate, didn't get a new certificate with an updated expiration date. The expiration date that's on the certificate is very likely in the past. It's actually more common than you think. In fact, I've done it myself. It used to be very common for the certificate renewal process to be a manual one. You would have to go in and go to a registrar or someone that would sell HTTPS certificates and take the time to pay and renew the certificate, then get it and install it on your server. I've forgotten to do that. I had at least one case in years past where the HTTPS certificate for AskLeo.com had expired, and everybody that visited got this error message. It's not a security issue in that case. It's just a misstep by the website owner. That's one of the things you end up looking at, is what is the error that's being displayed. In this case, cert date invalid simply means that the date of the HTTPS certificate that's installed has probably expired. It's probably safe to continue to go onto the website, but if you're not sure, of course, don't. There are other errors that can crop up here. That's why it's important to look at the specific error. The error that HTTPS certificates are really trying to protect you against is an error where the site you're asking for, say in this case, askleomedia.com, doesn't match the site that you're landing on. If the site was anything other than askleomedia.com, then there would be a mismatch between what you're expecting and what the cert or certificate says you are getting. That is a security issue. That is a case where you don't want to proceed. Now, there are still benign mismatches as well. For example, biz.askleo.com, which is another of my domains, is a completely separate site from askleo.com, and that means it needs its own certificate. It is not uncommon for webmasters, people putting together websites, to not quite realize that. And they'll try to use the certificate, the HTTPS certificate, for their base domain, askleo.com, as the certificate for one of these subdomains, biz.askleo.com. When that happens, we're getting the same report. The website we're asking for, biz.askleo.com, doesn't match the certificate that's installed when we get there, askleo.com. Now, in those cases, once again, if you look carefully, you can tell that it's probably benign. It's probably the webmaster making a mistake. But if you're not sure, don't proceed. The other scenario that is very common amongst site in development, but not something you should see very often, are what are called self-signed certificates. In most cases, certificates cost money. As a result, many websites, when they are under development, use what's called a self-signed certificate. A real certificate has you go through that process that forces you to confirm to a third party, a trusted third party, that you are who you say you are. When you do a self-signed certificate, you're simply making that statement yourself. It does not give you the security of domain name matching that you might otherwise want, that you really might need. On the other hand, it's really common because it still gives you encryption. In fact, it's a very common way, again, for private sites or sites in development to implement the encryption layer without necessarily implementing the identity verification layer. So once you've got this, how can you find out more? Or how do you proceed if it turns out to be safe? Well, that's what this advanced button is all about. In most browsers, there will be a button that says advanced. If you click on that, you will get a little bit more information. And then sure enough, in this case, the server could not prove that it's askleomedia.com because the security certificate expired 44 days ago. It's exactly what we thought, an expired HTTPS certificate. If you find that in the wild and the date is relatively recent, like yesterday or the day before, it's probably safe to proceed. On the other hand, if it is 44 days ago, somebody's really not been paying attention. And that's a sign that maybe it's not a site you want to go to. But this advanced information will give you more information about exactly what's going on and why. And then, if you want to proceed anyway, after weighing the risks and understanding the error that's been presented to you, that's what this continue to link is all about. Now, in my case, if I continue to askleomedia.com, the site is actually configured to automatically redirect to askleo.com. I don't have any content at askleomedia.com, but not all sites will behave this way. Some sites will go directly to the site you expected. And you might actually even see a warning about the HTTPS certificate in the address bar throughout your visit. But understanding the error that's displayed is the only way you can really make an informed decision on whether or not it's safe to proceed. If you're not sure, if you don't understand, don't proceed. You'll be safer. For updates, for links related to this article, for comments and more, visit askleo.com/16190. I'm Leo Notenboom. This is AskLeo.com. Thanks for watching.